and everybody just comes together, and everybody here has a voice. That's the best thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about this place is that it's not cater. It doesn't cater to one person. It doesn't cater to one gender. It doesn't cater to one thought process.
It's the Joshua Morones Podcast. Probably the best podcast in the universe. It's the Joshua Morones Podcast. Okay, maybe just the best in the RJFA. It's the Joshua Morones Podcast.
All right, cool. So we are in a very historical place here, and I'm with Shooter. Shooter, introduce yourself and let everybody know what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, right now, my name is Shooter Roberts. I'm with the historic Cine El Rey, and today we're going to be talking about what this place means to the community and how it's influenced not just me and you, but countless others.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing that we're going through. It's a very weird time where everybody wants to open up, but everybody wants to do it right. And the thing that's holding back everybody is like, well, this is a live venue place. Is it going to be safe for people to come back to? There's no way of doing it right. You just have to kind of do it and then follow the rules and regulations to the T and then make everybody feel comfortable. What are you seeing on your end?
I know, but how do you really make somebody feel comfortable with, because this is unprecedented. We've never gone through anything like this ever. I've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing, man. Like I know a lot of restaurant owners that want to open their doors, but the number one thing is, do we open the doors and get people sick, or how do we do it? How do we stay sanitized? Do we have one person that just does that and that's it? I think that's the interesting question, and I think when everybody actually opens up again, that's where we're going to see the people that really want to be in this. Because I had a horrible experience. The first day that the restaurants opened, I had a horrid experience. And I was like, man, there's people that want to open their doors right now and that will do anything to open their doors again.
Well, everybody's suffering. That's why.
Everybody's suffering. And I had that experience. I was like, dude, you know how many people would love to have an open restaurant right now? And these people they just don't get it. And I think that's the strange thing is that here we are in a very historical place. And I think the last time I was here when I played a show here right on that stage back there, and it's been home to a ton of musicians, man, and a ton of artists. And I think now is the time that we all need to band together and really show the love back to Cine El Rey.
Yeah, well, when you think about like all the entertainers that have been on there, Tintan was here on opening night. And if for those of you guys that don't know who Tintan is, just Google him and you'll find out. He's a very, very historic comedian and movie star. So he was here on opening night. So you're talking about over 70 years of like legacy.
Yeah.
And the people that have been through here, they're not all famous. Some of them don't get to make it, but one of their dreams is maybe just to play a song on stage.
Yep.
Or propose to their wife on stage, in front of a crowd, or, just a little kid trying to play a guitar.
No, you're absolutely right, because there's something about stage lights and the stage presence and the actual place that is inviting. It invites you in, man. It's like, dude, you have to play Cine El Rey.
Yeah.
You have to be there. You have to take part of this. And it's a huge staple. How does it feel to be in the heart of downtown? Like, what I want to know is, when all these other bars came across 17th Street has a bad rep, right? Let's just say that.
The whole stigma.
Yeah. What do you think about that with Cine El Rey having such an historic impact and then all this around it?
I mean, we don't really fall into that category. Like there's some clubs, and I'm not knocking them, but that's not our style. Yeah. Our style, we're trying to take more of the artistic route, trying to cultivate new artists and trying to just bring people together, really. I mean, we've had people here that have sued each other. We're talking about a guy that sued the mayor, and then years later they come over here and they shake hands, and either they're not really good friends,
Yeah.
but they put their political things aside. We've had the gay rights people with the abortion people, you know what I mean? We've had Sister Norma here at the same time with the mayor, Republicans, Democrats. And everybody just comes together, and everybody here has a voice. That's the best thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about this place is that it's not it doesn't cater to one person. It doesn't cater to one gender. It doesn't cater to one thought process.
It's just people. Yeah.
That's what I love about it. And that's kind of what the podcast is about, because I get a lot of slack. I get a lot of, I guess, negative feedback sometimes, because I do represent businesses. My clients, I do represent certain stature of business, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I want to be that podcast that it's okay to talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. I think.
Oh,
it's
I can cuss on here?
Oh fuck yeah!
Okay.
I think that's one of the important things about freedom of speech. Like, you want to be able to have freedom of speech to go wherever you want to go and not worry about the things you're going to say having repercussions later. I think that's something that this place stands for, and I think it celebrates it really well.
Yeah, and I mean, given the history of this place too, back in the 40s, everything was segregated. You had it was blacks only, whites only, and Mexican only. So if you were Mexican, you couldn't go into a white establishment. You couldn't do that, and they had signs that said no Mexicans and no dogs allowed, like stuff like that. And so everybody was going through that. And then knowing that now, because I didn't know about this place, the history of it up until I started coming here and working here and just being more involved in this business, in this entity. There's a lot of history, and there was a lot of segregation. And now we got that baton. So we're trying to bring people together too, and say, like, just because of your skin color, you're welcome here, Yeah. Like anybody's going to be welcome here.
What does ownership think about this? What are their thoughts about what's going on and their next step?
Well, the reality is right now we're 3 months behind because of this pandemic, and we had no idea that this was going to happen. Nobody could have foreseen something like this to happen. And the next step isn't just to open, because we rely a lot on mass gatherings for large concerts. And I mean, if we open with like 50% of the capacity or whatever, we could still get a small little crowd in the front lobby or something. But at the same time, do people want to come out?
Yeah.
Are people going to feel safe? Am I going to feel safe? Just being around that many people.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing that business owners are realizing. Like, do I open my doors and put my staff at risk? Do I put my customers at risk? What happens? There's too many what ifs, and there's too many.
Yeah, there's too many variables. Just
too many variables.
Yeah, and then what if you get sick and you're the owner, and then you go get your kid sick, and then your kid dies, or your grandpa dies, or something like that. That's going to weigh heavily on somebody.
Yeah, I think you all are coming from a very interesting point, because there's Governor Abbott, where he wants to open up everything, and there's two opposing voices to this, right? Do you open up and get everybody sick, or do you open up and stimulate the economy? Because the economy is suffering. There's the highest unemployment ever right now. So where do you stand on that?
Well, the way I think about it, I want to put people first instead of just trying to be greedy and make a couple of bucks. Like, for me, we haven't had any income here at the theater because all our shows canceled, basically.
Yeah. And
so there's been zero income. And then all the SBA assistance and everything that they were trying to help with, we didn't qualify for that. So there's that. And that's why we're asking the people, our fans, especially realistically our fans. We're not asking for, big corporations to donate money to us. We're asking our friends, our friends, for just $5, and that's going to help us get through this thing.
Yeah, so tell them a little bit more about that, because it's the $5. They donate $5 to Cine El Rey,
right?
And that will help you, right?
Oh yeah, if just our fans alone on Facebook donated $5, if each of them donated $5, we would survive this entire thing, and we'd be okay. We'd be in a good position. But right now we're 3 months behind, and bills just keep coming.
Yeah, they'll keep coming. So we'll link that the link to donate in the podcast notes, so y'all can donate. And I think this is one of the most historical places, because I remember my father talking about it when I was young. It's like, it's been around that long, it has that much history, and for us to let it go because of $5, I mean,
right?
Well, it doesn't make sense.
And at the same note, like, you don't have to donate the $5 if you can't. Some people don't have money. Right. They have like families to feed, and they got to feed themselves too. So if you can't donate, just like make people aware about it. Just share it.
Yeah.
And then just some people donating $5, some people are donating more. And I mean, we're just asking for the $5. We're not asking for $50,000.
Right. So what else are y'all doing as far as, I know you are doing some online live streaming, right?
Yeah, we've had some technical difficulties with the audio, but we're getting to it, and hopefully soon we'll be producing some content with some local bands.
Awesome. What's been the best experience that you've had here?
There's just so many, man. Like there's so many moments. For me particularly, it's like whenever I get on stage in the ring, and I'm performing in front of all those people.
So give them a little backstory if they haven't seen you.
Oh, yeah. I'm a porn star. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a professional wrestler here with Wrestling Revolution, and I've been doing that, I guess, I want to say like 15 years, something like that. I can't remember. Time's not real, right? And so, anyway, yeah, just getting in front of the crowd, getting those people just excited, you know? And one of the coolest things that I think I've ever experienced was there was an old man that came up to me after a show, and he gets my shoulder and he's like, "Hey, thank you." And I'm like, "Oh, you're welcome, man." I kind of just thought nothing of it, you know, just another fan. And he looks at me and he's like, "No, really, thank you." And I'm like, "Okay, so what's going on?" And he tells me, me and my son, we haven't talked in a lot of years, like in so long. And then we found out that Cine El Rey had live wrestling. So he called me up and invited me, and we came. And we didn't talk at all, like throughout the entire show. And then you came out, and you wowed the crowd, and we couldn't stop talking about you. And that's the first time that we've talked in years.
That's badass, man.
Yeah, so that kind of made me feel like, okay, what I'm doing is kind of important to some people.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we fall into as creators, as artists, is like we don't think we have a story to tell or something to share. And I think every single one of us does. We touch everybody in a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to touch everybody, but the fact is that we touch somebody. It has a deep effect on us as artists, as creators.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. But you also take some badass photography, bro.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
So what are you doing with that?
Right now, excuse me, everything's been kind of like stagnant because of the whole coronavirus and craziness or whatever. So I'm just kind of like editing some pictures little by little.
Yeah. So I guess what is the main thing you've been doing for the past 7 weeks since the coronavirus is?
I mean, a lot of masturbation. No, I'm just kidding. No, we've been...
Porn sites have been crashing because of you.
Seriously. We've been doing a lot of repair on equipment here at the theater. A lot of equipment's just kind of like outdated, so we kind of just got to clean everything and see where everything's going to go. And it's been a long time since we've done that because we just don't have time.
Yeah, if you actually see back here, there's a ton of stuff on the bottom here that it seems like they're cleaning out. And look at these beautiful lights back here, man. I mean, obviously, this place is getting rejuvenated, and we just want everything to come back to normal. I can't wait, because when I go into the corner stores, I walk out of my car and like I'm just regular. Like I don't have my mask. I'm like, fuck, I forgot my mask, man. So I got to go do the walk back to the car.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of annoying, dude. It's like, fuck, when's everything going to get back to normal, dude?
Yeah.
And then will it?
And then when we get back to normal, like what is normal?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how are people going to act like with each other? Sometimes I'll be walking down the sidewalk and then I'll see somebody walking on the same sidewalk and I just cross the street just to avoid them, you know?
It's a weird time, man. Like, I don't know what to do. Like I go into HEB and I see people and I kind of just wait there. And then there's the other dude that's like right next to me. It's like,
yeah, and you're kind of like, oh,
yeah, like
get back a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very weird time, and I think we all have to make the adjustment to live in this post-COVID world whenever it passes.
Yeah, hopefully it passes.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like the other day, I went through the drive-through where they have those bikini girls or whatever, and I'm just there. I'm probably just getting beer or something, and the girl comes up to the door, and I'm like, oh shit, that girl's pretty, but then I realized she has a mask on, so I can't even see her face. But I already just because of the fact that I hadn't had any like physical contact or just communicated it with anybody for so long, I just kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. The other day we went to a friend's house after this. I think it was the first day that they lifted the stay-at-home order. So we went to a friend's house. We're hanging out, and it was just like we're excited to be out. Just genuinely excited to see other people.
Just to be around somebody.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of people don't get is when you're in a house with the same family, with the same wife, with the same kids all the time, you get like cabin fever. It's like, dude, I need to do something. I need to get out. I need to do something. So we as humans crave that one anotherness or talking to somebody else, dude.
Yeah,
just having a conversation.
I think it's important. Yeah. Even, I mean, social media worked for a little bit, but then at the same time, like, it's not the same as being around somebody because you get an energy with somebody. You vibe with them.
Yeah, it's weird because I do a ton of Facebook stuff, a ton of YouTube stuff, and looking at a camera versus having a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Or on the phone doing a podcast just isn't the same, dude. I had to get back, like having this one-on-one interaction. It's
Right.
completely different, man.
Yeah, you can feel somebody's energy, and we talk about different stories or whatever, and that's a good feeling. Just communicating.
It's communication, man. That's what I love about that social media can't do, but it can do it at the same time. I guess it's weird because I know there's gonna be people watching this that are taking away our conversations to themselves or whatever they do.
Yeah, they're going to depict it the way they want.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting thing because I don't think you're not very vocal on social media.
No, not really.
Which is what I like because I like to actually get into like we've never had a real conversation. This is kind of as far as it's ever gone. That's why I like to chat with these things because on the podcast, for some reason, when we speak long enough, your true self comes out.
Yeah.
That's what I really like about long form content is the longer you listen, the better it gets. So what is Shooter Roberts about?
Man, pretty much just wrestling. Started doing the photography thing, and the theater. This is pretty much my little world.
Yeah.
And I got my 4 sisters, but they all live like somewhere else, So
What got you into wrestling?
it's something that I've always wanted to do ever since I was like little itty bitty, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's a pipe dream," or "You'll never make it," or "You'll never do it." And so I just one day, me and my guys, we just got together and said, "Fuck it, we're doing it." And we went to Brownsville, met Bruce Tharp over there, and he was the one that gave us a shot. We thought we were badass because we were going to be on TV, so we came out on TV for a little while, and then that kind of disappeared, and we're like, what are we going to do now? So we tried other places, and everybody kind of just rejected us.
Yeah.
Thought we're like I'm not a big guy, you know what I mean? My guys weren't like super massive either. So we got a lot of rejection, a lot of no's, a lot of doors slammed in our faces and stuff. And we said, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. So we kind of just got a ring and came over here, talked to Bert. We just...
How long ago was that?
This was like a decade ago, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, we walked right through the doors, and Bert was like, what are you guys about? And we're like, we want to put on a wrestling show. And he's like, let's fucking do it. And that was it. That was like instant.
It's weird, man. I have this conversation with a lot of artists and creators about the city you come from. Do you feel that this city that we live in here, I'm not going to name it, do you feel like they give back to creators and artists? Because I feel like they don't.
Yeah, no. The city doesn't really do it. It's more up to like privately owned places like us.
But why do you think that is? I mean, the thing that I think is very interesting about a city, about a county, is the people that are the artists, that are the creators, that are creating the needs to come out and express yourself.
Yeah, well, everybody, whether you like it or not, or whether you agree with it or not, any sort of entertainment, whether you're a movie star, a musician, a wrestler, a comedian, you any kind of entertainment is needed for people. Did you need the beer?
Yeah, dude. That's a strange thing, dude, because I always have that conversations like,
Well, I think it's essential to be an entertainer.
no, I really do. I do think that. I do think that too. I just feel like, man, there should be more in place from the city's perspective. Like, hey, let's give back to these people that are entertainers, that
Right.
are giving back to, like, for example, like YouTube. My YouTube audience reaches people around the whole nation.
Right.
And if I say my city name, well, that name's getting out. You all have a reputation here. You bring in a ton of people that travel throughout the world. And
Right.
they talk about this one thing. I was like, I think that's kind of says more about who we are wanting to give back to our city than the city's actually giving back to us.
Well, it's the passion that you have for what you do. You know, I think that's what it boils down to, and that's people have passion for what they do, and that's really what's important.
Yeah. No, I agree. I guess the business part of me feels like the monetized part of it, like get compensated for what you're doing. You're attracting these people to, like, for example, like South Texas Comic-Con brings in a ton of people to the McAllen Convention Center.
Right.
And they have a huge economic impact. Right? So I think the same thing on a smaller scale is what we're doing pretty much weekly, daily, by what we do as artists, as creators. and I think there should be something in place where it gives back to these.
Yeah, no, I
artists.
agree. Because a lot of people think that being in show business or a touring band or something like that it's like glamorous and everything,
Yeah.
but it's really not. And there's really not a lot of money to be made with that. It's more like of a passion of yours to go pursue it and do it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us have like side gigs, you know, where we do this thing that we love, and then we also go somewhere else and make some money.
Yeah, I think the world of the internet's a very interesting place because my goal for me is to extract as much money as I can from the internet. That's been my plan for the past 5-6 years, and I think the time is now for people that are creators that want to share their stories on social media or on YouTube or any venue on the internet. They have an opportunity to do that because it literally leveled the playing field.
Oh yeah,
That's what I love about it. Is like you don't have to have an eccentric attitude and be on YouTube. You can educate, you can inform, or you can entertain. I mean,
yeah.
there's a niche for everybody, and the internet has literally leveled the playing field for that.
Yeah, but there's also a connection that the entertainer has with the audience too.
Right.
And like say me for example, if I'm out there and there's nobody out there, I can't vibe, you know? I need that energy from them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right because when I was playing a lot with the band and there was just a few people out there, it's like, do I really want to play this game?
Yeah.
But
You still give a good performance
Yeah.
regardless. That's a given because anytime that I go out there, I'll give my best even if there's 15 people, I don't care.
yeah.
But then if you have a sold out crowd, you're like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
se te para." You're like, "Oh, I'm getting
for
out."
Sure, man. It's just a very interesting dynamics that us artists and creators go through. It's like, shit, man. Like, come on, you want to give everything, and it's like, let me ask you about that because a lot of people talk about supporting local. Let's talk about bands specifically. I feel like or even wrestling. I feel like whenever do you have to leave the Rio Grande Valley to become successful?
No, I don't think so. I think right now, what we're doing here at the theater, we're trying to cultivate the new artists. And there's been a lot of artists that have come through here, like Cristela Alonso. She's performed on this stage, and she's from here. Valente Rodriguez, he's from here. You know what I mean? He didn't have to go anywhere, and he's rubbing shoulders with George Clooney. You know,
Yeah.
so you don't have to leave the valley like to be recognized or be known.
I feel like I feel like a lot of people here they gotta go, like, for example, like bands, they tour around somewhere and then they come back and then that's when they're like, oh, these guys are badass. Like you have to go out and build that crowd somewhere else and then everybody's like, oh cool, man, these guys did it. Like when we play Sixth Street isn't like a huge feat to go play.
Right.
But we did it and they're like, people are like, oh, you played Sixth Street, that's cool. Yeah, they pay you $50 for the whole fucking band.
Right.
You play on Sixth Street and then they shoo you off. So I think those are the things that people don't really realize that it comes with that. Like you can go out and do these badass things, but at the end of the day, it's not as glamorous as you thought it was.
It never is. It's like they say, never meet your heroes. I mean, just don't go out there and do those gigs too. You know,
Yeah.
there's money to be made like in these local gigs too if you really try.
Yeah.
I know Raymond Horta has sold out this place. He's made quite a bit of money here too, like back-to-back shows and stuff like that. So and he's local here too.
Yeah, I think he's one of the funniest guys I've seen, man. I think the Valley has so much to offer. I just feel like we don't do enough as the Rio Grande Valley to give back to these people and they have to like go out on their own and figure it out. They don't get like a nudge from like a business loan from the city or maybe
to buy equipment, a guitar or something like that. Just
they figure it out.
Yeah.
I think also maybe at the same time that's what it is. That's what needs to be done because like for me, when people don't support me, I'll just go out and fucking do it anyways.
Well, that's what I did when we started wrestling. We just said, "Fuck it, let's go out and do it," and then we did it. You know, and money came out of our pocket, but we were doing it.
Yeah. What was your best memory of wrestling?
Of me wrestling?
Yeah, in the early days.
Oh man, in the early days, dude, I would do so much crazy shit off the top rope, and now that I got older, I can't do any of that.
How old are you, man?
I never tell, never tell. There's people that are gonna be watching. They're like, that motherfucker never fucking told me. I swear, dude.
You've never told anybody.
Never. Not even my own family will tell you.
Jeez.
I'm like a woman, but without hair.
Without hair.
Mm-hmm.
So is Cine haunted? Are there any horror stories?
No.
Nothing like that.
I've been here at all like hours of the night, day.
Nothing.
Never seen nothing. There was a time where somebody told me a story about the women's restroom. Sorry, ladies. That two girls went in there and they wanted to take a selfie in front of the mirror. And in the picture, it's supposed to be them two girls, right? Just by themselves.
Yeah.
But in the picture, there's like a little girl next to them. And supposedly that's somewhere like online somewhere. I've never seen it. But I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And I know every sound that this place makes. Like from the back door to the front door, from the roof to the everything.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. All the rumors you hear.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, the Valley Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
those guys, they've been here and they started like taking pictures, and I don't know.
Nothing.
I saw some of their pictures, but they claim to see something, but I think it's just the camera that shook a little bit.
Yeah, Are you into conspiracy theories?
I mean, sometimes depending.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Dude, there's the main one would have to be like the 9/11 thing because that was a big thing.
Yeah, interesting story about that is I was top 15 to go to New York, Lower Manhattan. I submitted a video, and they were looking for somebody to document during summer all the events that are going on in Lower Manhattan. And I was top 15, and the whole COVID thing happened, and they picked the winner, and the title changed. It was like, hey, well, now we need you to tell the stories of what's going on after the coronavirus. So I was like right there. I've never been to New York, man. I was so close to going and representing us, and I was like, fuck, it was so close.
Yeah.
I wanted to go, man. Have you ever been to New York?
No, that's the one place I think I'll never go.
Why?
I think it's too many people, and I don't like people. That's
9 million people, man.
seriously no. I can't handle that.
9 million people. Dude, imagine that?
I've been all over the country. I've been blessed that I've been from coast to coast and border to border, pretty much every city, every major city, seen a lot of beautiful things. But that place, I don't think I'll ever go. That and Alaska, no, Hawaii. I don't think I'll ever go to Hawaii unless they build
Hawaii's nice, though,
unless
man.
they build a bridge or
A
something.
bridge, a long
yeah.
ass bridge.
I'm not gonna go on a boat, dude, or a plane. I've seen fucking
You never flown or
Wilson.
what? You never flown?
Oh no, I've flown.
Oh, you've flown.
I'm not gonna fly over a big body of water. Fuck that, dude. I'm gonna have a fucking volleyball as a best friend. No, thank you, man.
Did you imagine that? Would you think you'd be able to survive?
We survived the coronavirus. survive this quarantine.
No shit, man. What's the one thing that you miss the most about, like, actually, you're in quarantine. What's the one thing you miss the most?
Actually, I didn't realize this, but I miss my friends. Just talking to people that I enjoy talking to.
People.
Just people, customers that come in or whatever. Everybody has a different story. I'm like, what do they call those, therapists?
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, before we finish off the podcast, let's make sure that we tell everybody why we're here, to make sure that we get the donations that we need, man.
Oh yeah. You guys can donate at cineelrey.org, or you can Cash App it at Cine El Rey, $, Cine El Rey. Sorry about that. Or you could just mail it in, because we've had a lot of people just mail it in, and the mailman has become our best friend, because we get little donations. Everybody has a little story that they say, like a little note.
That's a really good idea. Your best memory of Cine, and you write it and you give your donation.
Yeah, that'll be a cool idea. There was a time where a couple came in and they had their daughter. The daughter was about maybe 30 years old, and it was an older couple. And the lady's like, no, the man was like, I met my wife right there on those stairs. And I was like, what do you mean? Tell me more. I was curious. We get so many stories. And so this guy, he's like, well, I was getting concession stands, like just popcorn and sodas or whatever they had back then. And I was going up the stairs and she was coming down the stairs, and I saw her and I said, I got to meet that girl. So what he did was he threw all his stuff in the trash can and went right behind her in line. And then, and then all those years later, they come back. I think they were from like San Antonio or something like that.
Interesting. You ever stop and just realize how many lives this place has touched?
Oh, seriously, man. I mean, back in the day, could you imagine there was no other places where Mexicanos can go. So this place was like a hotspot. And then back in that time, it wasn't just to come watch movies, but it was also just to organize for farm workers.
Interesting.
And yeah, so like guys like Cesar Chavez and people that were orchestrating those things, they didn't have cell phones back then,
Right.
or like cell phones or texting or nothing like that, no social media. So what they did was they came to places like Cine El Rey, and then they would say, okay, the house meeting's going to be at this guy's house, and then sometimes there was no street signs, you had to go by landmarks and stuff like that.
Interesting. You ever look back and like see how fast the internet has grown and how like technologically advanced we are?
Yeah, just looking at your camera right there, I'm just surprised how small it is.
Yeah, I don't think people really get that. I think they think that I use a lot of fancy equipment, but I mean, this is kind of fancy. But for the most part, I'm using a DJI Osmo to record us. It's tiny.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's cool. Technology is there. I think a lot of people that want to jump on the trend and create and be an artist, this is the perfect time for you because you can explore your ideas. You can do whatever you want to do, and without very much repercussions, I think, unless you're like being watched all the time. But I mean, even then, who gives a shit, right?
Right, yeah. And there's always somebody that's going to buy the content or going to be into it. There's always somebody out there that's going to be like into your thing.
Yeah, your fans. I mean, and I think that's what we go back to here to Cine El Rey is donate, just give back to this place. It's obviously touched a ton of people, and we want to keep it around, and we want to keep it around as long as we can. So, Shooter, one more time, let people know where they can donate.
Yeah, cineelrey.org, or also Cash App at $Cine El Rey, or you could also mail in your donations if you like.
Let's hear one more crazy story because I got to keep you on here to tell you another crazy ass story.
Yeah, sorry.
I got too many.
Yeah, well, back in the day, people would come here for the movies, and sometimes if they had like a major premiere, there was a lot of people. The line was around the block, like around the Rex and stuff like that. And the Rex actually like a year older than us. So anyway, the line would go around the block, and back then they would do like double showings or matinees or whatever. And so there was so many people that they couldn't let them out through the front because there was already people in the front for the next showing. So what they did was they made them exit through the back area, through the alley, and then everybody would just go back about their lives or whatever. And then the next group would come in. But people would rush in through the doors because they were so excited to watch this new movie that just barely came out. And this one year, I don't remember what year it was, but this lady got trampled and she died right there in the front of the doors. Yeah, crazy. Like it was pretty bad. That's how bad. I'm just kidding. That never happened.
Oh, jeez.
That never fucking happened. No, but I'll tell you what did happen.
You said that so convincingly, man. Fuck.
Yeah. No, I know. Sorry. There was no dead lady. but there was, like I said, we do a lot of crazy stuff. So there was one time that we were having like an erotic ball or whatever, and there was people just like, with little pasties and stuff like that. And I kind of like that. Like you get hot chicks, just walking around kind of half naked. It's cool. So anyway, so it started to get to closing time, and I'm looking at Bert like, hey, let's close up. Like, let's get everybody out, And he looks at me, he's like, well, tell the security guards to pick up all the beer. And so the guards pick up all the beer, and the music keeps going. And now we're over here like at 2 something, and the music's still going, and I'm looking at Bert like, hey, we can get in trouble for this,
Yeah.
And he's like, nobody's drinking, let them go. And so now it's like way past time, and now I'm like, yo, Bert, I feel like I'm being kidnapped right now. Let me go home, dog. And so the show goes on. Everybody's having a great time, but the bad thing is, or the good thing, depending, people started taking their clothes off. Everybody was already dos pedos.
Yeah.
And so people started taking their clothes off. And little by little, people started like, touching and by the time you knew it was real late, and people started, like fucking and sucking.
Really?
And could you imagine a building full of like people just trying to, this big ass fucking whatever they call that?
Orgy?
Yeah, that shit. And it was just so bad, dude. So in the morning, I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm just going to go with it. So in the morning we wake up and everybody's sprawled out everywhere. And I'm on stage and Bert's like in the middle of this big ass crowd. and I wake up like the Undertaker. I was like, and I'm like, oh shit, that really happened. And I look over and Bert's waking up too. And I go, hey, did that just fucking happen? And he's like, fuck yeah, dude. Dude, I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, bro, but next time let's invite some chicks.
Jeez. All right, guys. The Shooter on the podcast. Thank you guys very much. We'll link the donations down below. We'll see y'all later.
It's the Joshua Morones Podcast.